The 16th branch of Megamart and Macromart supermarkets in Bahrain has opened in Sahala. The best offers are available to the customers at affordable rates. Everyone is welcome. During and around the opening day, a variety of fish including salmon, meat and dairy products, roastery, frozen items, food and non-food items, groceries, fruits and vegetables, electronics, garments and ready-to-eat food items are available to the customers at affordable rates. Hearty welcome to all. Megamart and Macromart, your favorite shopping destination.
The exclusive franchisee of Cochin Kala Bhavan in Bahrain, with over a decade of existence in Bahrain. Exclusive online regular classes have started for classical dances, music vocal, instrumental music, cinematic dance, Kathak, Zumba body fitness, karate and yoga, drawing, arts and craft, children's theatre. For more information, please call 3909 6845 3909 4806 3885 2397 or visit www.bahrainmediacity.com.
Good evening friends, we are back with yet another episode of BMC Global Live Al Hilal Health World, Nothing But Lifestyle. I am Anupama Menon. Your health is our concern. In this talk show Health World, we have expert doctors from various fields providing valuable information on different medical topics so that you can keep diseases at bay and enjoy good health. Today's topic of discussion is diarrheal disease in children and acute diarrheal diseases in children. As we all know, summer is round the corner and it's during this time that children are more prone and vulnerable to getting diarrhea. I'm sure many of our viewers have young kids at home and you would like to know more about diarrheal disease in children. So to discuss this topic in detail, today we have with us Dr. Adarsh Udayan, specialist pediatrician from Al Hilal Hospital, Hamad Town. He comes with an experience of over 10 years in the field of pediatrics. Let's go over to him and know more about diarrheal disease in children. Doctor, welcome to the show and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
Good.
So doctor, can we begin by describing diarrhea in medical terms for the benefit of our viewers? How would you describe it in your medical terms?
Diarrhea is a common term. It's a passage of stools more than, as by definition, it's a passage of stools more than 3 times in a 24-hour frame, 24-hour period.
More than 3 times.
More than 3 times in a 24-hour period is called, definition-wise, it's called diarrhea. But more than frequency, it is the consistency that matters the most. Recent change in consistency is the most important thing. Consistency means firmness of the stools. Normally, stools is semi-solid and it passes easily. In diarrhea, it is watery and more, more loose
Liquid
and
form.
liquid form. Yeah, liquid form,
Okay.
and it attains the shape of the container, shape of the container that it passes
Okay.
in diarrhea. That is called diarrhea. That is watery and loose.
So basically more than 3 times a day, and what parents have to keep in mind is the
recent
consistency
of
of the stool.
yeah.
If it's too liquid
Yeah,
or
yeah.
watery, then it
Even one episode of diarrhea, one episode of liquid, watery, and recent change in consistency, it's also called a diarrhea.
diarrhea.
Yeah.
So what are the common causes of diarrhea? Is it linked to the diet? Does weather play any role in this? And we often say that kids, when they go to play school and all that, we have noticed that they tend to pick it up faster. So in your observation, what are the causes?
Diarrhea is actually, it's an infection, most probably. It's mostly it has two types. I mean, diarrhea altogether we can broadly divide into two types maybe. One is infective and non-infective. Among infective, it is the causative organism mainly is viruses. Mainly among viruses, rotavirus is the main culprit. So it's especially in less than 2 years, virus is the most common cause of diarrhea. So it is spread by fecal-oral route. That is improper sanitation, sanitation measures, hand hygiene, improper hand hygiene, improper food handling, improper cooking. And personal hygiene is the most important thing we have to keep in.
And I think below 2 years kids have a tendency to put everything in their mouth.
Everything in the mouth, hand washing is the main, very, very important thing. And apart from, as I told you earlier, there is infective and non-infective causes. In non-infective causes, there are food intolerances like lactose intolerances.
That's intolerance to milk.
Yeah, intolerance to milk and milk products. And there is another food allergies. Cow's milk protein allergy. Some children may have allergy to cow's milk proteins. So they may have develop diarrheal episodes. So some medicines you can see in children when we give some medicines, they may side effect of the medicine may have diarrhea. So medications, food allergies, and in children who is drinking lot of carbonated drinks and fruit juices with the sugary, excess sugars, carbonated drinks, excess sugars, who is taking more caffeine, also causes that. These are all causes of diarrhea. It's not apart from the popular belief that only infection can cause diarrhea, there are non-infective causes also.
Non-infective causes as well. Like you said, excessive carbonated drinks.
Definitely. Cola, Pepsi,
And these days kids are mostly into these.
And parents also buying more, as to show the affection, they are also buying more.
It's a wrong way of showing affection, to compromising one's own health and safety. So doctor, you mentioned about this food habits. So what are the foods and liquids that should be given and that should not be given during diarrhea? If we could just discuss about that. Like while the child is having a diarrheal episode, what are the foods to be avoided? Maybe we could go to that first.
As I told you earlier, the diarrhea affects a child in different ages in different ways. So in infants, even one episode of diarrhea can cause harmful effects, because in infants they have total body water is low, so even some amount of fluid loss may result in devastating consequences in the child. So in diarrhea we have to avoid all sorts of carbonated drinks, everything that also.
It has to be stopped.
It has to be stopped. The main problem in diarrhea is dehydration. Dehydration is the main problem. It affects little children more than older children. Dehydration. As I told you, even one episode of diarrhea in little children may be harmful for
in the case of infants.
Infants.
Okay.
Infants means less than 1 year.
Less than 1 year.
Less and infants called less than 1 year. So we have to be very careful among them. We have to give breastfeeding should not be stopped. If you have to give breastfeeding in infants, continue breastfeeding. Breastfeeding not only rehydrate the child, but also it has immune properties. That has so many immune complexes, immune functions in the body. When it consumed by the child, they have IgA, like immunoglobulins, that stops the diarrhea and reduces the severity of the diarrhea, and it also rehydrates the baby.
Okay, so breastfeeding
should not be stopped. And babies are, in diarrheal episodes, they may reluctant to take another fluids and all. But breastfeeding, they can take easily, and it is easily available also. We don't want to mix and something to.
That's right.
Yeah, we have to. It's very easily available, and it has to be consumed frequently to rehydrate it. Breastfeeding should not be stopped. Continues, and another one is oral rehydration solution.
That's what we commonly refer as ORS.
Yes, oral rehydration solution. It contains glucose and other salts like sodium, potassium and all in a specific ratio. So when diarrhea occurs, when we consume ORS, it rehydrates and it replenishes the stored minerals in the body. So oral rehydration should be consumed. It is easily available in markets, over-the-counter drugs. We can just go and
I believe
buy,
we can even make it at home. Let's say suddenly if we can't
home
go
available
to
fluids.
Yeah,
like
so how do you make ORS at home? What is the right proportion of fluids and water and sugar and salt and all that?
Yeah, we can easily make ORS like solution, not ORS, ORS like solution,
which gives the
home,
same effect.
Yeah, home available fluids like we can use lemon, lemon water with added salt and less sugar. Yeah, and yogurt with the salt. Okay. Yeah, salted lassi, you call it salted lassi. Yeah. And and rice water. Rice water with salt. Okay. That all similar to ORS. If the ORS is not available to buy, you can use all these home available fluids and continue breastfeeding.
Okay, so that has to be kept in mind.
And avoid caffeinated drinks. Don'ts, you asked about don'ts. Avoid caffeinated drinks, beverage. I mean, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all those drinks, and carbonated drinks, caffeine. Coffee. Avoid tea, coffee, which is actually acting as a laxative. It increases the frequency of the diarrhea, and avoid plain glucose water. Plain glucose,
okay,
it should be added by plain glucose water should be avoided.
Okay,
I mean, it's better to avoid.
A lot of us have a tendency, we feel that glucose gives you a boost of energy, so we end up giving plain
because
glucose.
In diarrhea, as I told you earlier, in diarrhea along with the glucose, salt also losing. Okay. So in ORS there is a specific ratio, glucose to salt ratio. So that is not in plain glucose water. Instead, glucose increases the osmotic effect. It absorbs all water from the intestines, so it increases the diarrhea.
Okay, so this will be a very useful tip for the viewers, because I'm sure a lot of them might be giving plain glucose water, thinking that it will actually energize the child. Yeah, so I think they should all avoid doing that.
ORS is very important. Otherwise, plain glucose is enough.
That's right. Yeah. And what about spicy food and oily food and all that?
Oily food, it's okay, no problem. If you prepared at home, proper hygiene, proper food, and everything is okay, because in diarrheal episodes, some children may have some, digestive, intestinal problems. So avoid all those fatty, oily foods and avoid, it's better.
So light and simple
foods like, rehydration is the most important.
Main thing is fluid intake should be right.
Yeah.
And with salt and sugar also.
And don't restrict any foods to the child. If the child wants that food, you should give that, because diarrhea causes, there is a possibility of later developing malnutrition, because child is losing so many glucose in water, may develop malnutrition later. So no food should be restricted, but home available fruits, any foods should be given. It's properly prepared and properly
16th branch of Megamart and Macromart supermarkets in Bahrain has opened in Sahla. The best offers are available to the customers at affordable rates. Everyone is welcome. During and around the opening day, a variety of fish including salmon, meat and dairy products, roastery, frozen items, food and non-food items, groceries, fruits and vegetables, electronics, garments and ready-to-eat food items are available to the customers at affordable rates. Hearty welcome to all. Megamart and Macromart, your favorite shopping destination.
So once a child has been diagnosed with diarrhea, what is a course of treatment that you would suggest? Is it antibiotics, or should we wait for a few days before resorting to antibiotics?
Actually, in diarrhea, antibiotics is not the main treatment of diarrhea. As I told you earlier, ORS is the main treatment. Antibiotics, as I told you earlier, diarrhea is caused by mainly viruses. Among viruses, rotavirus is the main culprit. So antibiotics do not kill. Viruses do not get killed by antibiotics. So even sometimes antibiotics, antibiotic administration can. There is no evidence to suggest that antibiotics administration reduces the severity, reduces the duration of diarrhea. Instead, it may sometimes increase the duration, because antibiotics.
Stomach may be sensitive to the antibiotics.
Sometimes some antibiotics causes, as I told, diarrhea is caused by some antibiotics. Yeah, and it eliminates the good bacteria in the gut also. So increases the duration of diarrhea may occur sometimes. But in some diarrhea, infective causes some diarrhea, after consulting a pediatrician, you can start antibiotics. If there is any blood in stools, that are alarming signs in diarrhea. Blood in stools, if the fever is more than 48 hours, that also things. If the child develops, if there is any infective etiology, bacterial etiology, you can start antibiotic after consulting a pediatrician. Yeah,
it's better to seek doctor's advice and then take medicines under his guidance.
Yeah.
So the red flags that all the parents should look out for is high fever.
If it
persists more than 48 hours, and if there is blood in the stool.
Yeah, blood
These
in the
are
stool.
the worrying
Restlessness,
factors.
drowsy. The child is restlessness, and there is drowsy, and decrease in urine output. Normal child is passing urine frequently, but decrease in urine output, and the child is inability to drink. That drowsiness. Yeah, that was things suggestive of there is a the rehydration affect the body of the child. So we have to be very careful.
So if the child exhibits any of these symptoms, then immediate medical attention is required. And so doctor, if a child is developing diarrhea frequently, there are frequent episodes, let's say, the child comes out of it, then again it recurs maybe after a week. So what should be done about that? Is there any underlying cause for this, or this could be again?
That's an important question. Yeah, that's a very nice question, because some child may develop diarrhea frequently. That sort of child we have to be very careful, because children with the malnutrition, and immunodeficiency, that sort of children will get infections, virus infections frequently, like any other infection. So we have to be very careful in that child. We have to treat it very aggressively in diarrhea cases. That mainly malnutrition is the main cause for recurrent diarrheal episodes, and improper personal hygiene, maintaining personal hygiene, and we have to check for any other food allergies and
lactose intolerance, like you mentioned earlier.
Lactose intolerance, and in some you may be heard about celiac disease. Some children is sensitive for gluten in wheat. So that sort of children may get when you ingest, whenever they ingest wheat, gluten sensitivity occurs. So they may develop recurrent diarrhea. We have to find out that sort of things. So if any child with diarrhea persisting more than, usually diarrhea 5 to 7 days, it's by own, it stops, it's by own. Yeah, no need of any antibiotic. As I told you, only ORS is needed, and it usually gone within 5 to 7 days. So, if any child is having diarrhea more than 14 days, it's called persistent diarrhea. We have to rule out other causes like malnutrition and lactose intolerance, celiac diseases, food allergies. Yeah, that sort of things you have to be very rule out. We have to seek medical attention also.
So let's say even after a proper course of treatment, the child is not able to recover from diarrhea, then what would be the next course of action? Would you be suggesting any tests or any further investigations to be done? How would you go about it?
That's called a persistent
diarrhea, which lasts for 2 weeks.
We have to investigate the child after consulting a pediatrician. We have to is there any intolerance to any foods, allergy to any foods, any malnutrition is and proper personal hygiene is maintained. Safe drinking water. We have to check the drinking water.
Drinking water.
Safe drinking water is a main component important. For
Okay. And do you normally recommend blood tests or something to find about this, or?
Yeah, if you suspect any infective episode, let's say any blood in stools, any high fever, you have to do a blood test more. Yeah, if you suspect any infective causes for that diarrhea, like as I told you, high fever and persisting more than 48 hours, and blood in stools, like, and another ear infection, chest infections, respiratory infections, all those causes. These ear infection, chest, respiratory infection also causes diarrhea. These are also causes for diarrhea. So
okay, even a chest and a ear infection, that infection
pneumonia,
can
they can cause
spread
diarrhea.
Over. Okay.
Yeah, that is secondary diarrhea.
So if it's persistent for more than 2 weeks, then definitely it needs to be investigated further. So doctor, is it advisable to give milk to the kids? You mentioned about breastfeeding, you said that's perfectly fine. For kids about 2 years who drink normal milk, is it advisable to give that? Because a lot of us feel that milk actually contributes to diarrhea in some way or the other. So is there any truth to it?
Actually, recent guidelines suggest that diarrhea most common effect on the child is malnutrition. So we must not restrict any foods, especially if the child is taking milk based diet more. Usually takes milk based diet, we have to give that diet only. We have to continue that because we should not cause malnourished child after a diarrheal episode. So we should continue giving milk based diet. Is milk based.
If the child is used to having it, continue
it giving, and you can mix it with the cereals and make energy dense food. So in milk you can mix it with cereals and make it energy dense. It will be good for the child. Yeah, it prevents malnutrition. So you can continue breastfeeding, and even you can all cow's milk, everything.
Many people say that curd is also very good. It's it's like a good probiotic and it's got good.
You can continue that. Yeah.
So curd is also good for the stomach, and
always avoid carbonated drinks and caffeinated products. Yeah.
Okay. So doctor, before we wrap up, would you like to describe in a nutshell what all we discussed here today? How to take care of a child with diarrhea, the do's and don'ts?
Diarrhea, as I told you, as we discussed now, diarrhea is the main problem in diarrhea is rehydration. ORS is the main treatment of diarrhea, oral rehydration solution. It contains in a glucose and salts in a specific ratio. You can give ORS sip by sip, small. If the child is vomiting after taking ORS, you can wait for 10 minutes and give later ORS. So, and avoid all the caffeinated products and carbonated drinks, and you can continue milk products. You can continue breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is important thing in small children because it rehydrates the baby and it causes immune system boosting also. So avoid inadequate, inappropriate use of antibiotics. Diarrhea is 90% of the diarrhea goes by its own after rehydration. So and if look for any danger signs like blood in stools, fever, high grade fever, restlessness, inability to drink, that all sort of signs you see in a child with diarrhea, you just seek medical attention as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for taking the time out to be with us today and for explaining to our viewers in detail about diarrhea. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to present the diarrhea, this topic in front of the viewers.
I'm sure all our viewers have found this episode very informative. Doctor has given us a lot of valuable and useful tips, and one thing that you have to keep in mind is hydration is extremely important. Dehydration is one of the major side effects of diarrhea. So please make sure that your child is hydrated well. Another point to be noted is please avoid giving plain glucose water. You can continue with breastfeeding. Milk can be included, it can be a part of the diet. And if the diarrhea persists for more than 2 weeks, please do seek medical intervention and follow the doctor's advice. I'll be back next Tuesday with yet another episode of BMC Global Live Al Hilal Health World. Till we meet again, this is Anupama signing off, wishing you all lots of happiness and good health always. Good night and stay safe.
The 16th branch of Megamart and Macromart supermarkets in Bahrain has opened in Sahala. The best offers are available to the customers at affordable rates. Everyone is welcome. During and around the opening day, a variety of fish including salmon, meat and dairy products, roastery, frozen items, food and non-food items, groceries, fruits and vegetables, electronics, garments and ready-to-eat food items are available to the customers at affordable rates. Hearty welcome to all. Megamart and Macromart, your favorite shopping destination.
The exclusive franchisee of Cochin Kala Bhavan in Bahrain. With over a decade of existence in Bahrain, exclusive online regular classes have started for classical dances, music vocal, instrumental music, cinematic dance, Kathak, Zumba body fitness, karate and yoga, drawing, arts and craft, children's theatre. For more information, please call 3909 6845 3909 4806 3885 2397 or visit www.bahrainmediacity.com.